Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot, and today I'm sharing a spread that is by spiritual medium Shannon over on Instagram. And she done a spread called Questions for Your New Deck. Now, I don't normally do deck interview spreads, but I thought this one was a little bit different, and because also the deck that I'm going to be using it with is the Golden Art, I always forget this name, the Golden Art Tarot Nouveau, I think it's called. Yeah, Golden Art Nouveau Tarot, sorry, the box that comes in. So it's an absolutely stunning deck. I absolutely love it, and I haven't put it down since I've got it. So I've used it for a fair bit, actually. But the reason why I'm actually decided to do a deck interview spread, because it's something that I started with when I first started reading the tarot 28 years ago. I started with the Rider-Waite deck. And I thought it would be fun to actually ask an old deck questions like this to see what it's going to actually come up with. So I thought it would be kind of interesting. So the first one is a card that represents your overall energy. So for the deck, a card that represents your overall energy. So we have got the King of Swords, card that represents your overall energy. So something that is very in control. So I have noticed that when I first started reading again with the Rider-Waite deck, that I picked it up like, it was like I never stopped reading with it. You never really stop. I don't suppose you never really forget, the roots of no matter what deck it is that you started with in tarot. So you can see the gold there. It's such a beautiful deck. So it looks like the deck's overall energy is one where it's very in control, that it's now it's kind of interesting because when I read, I do see visions and things inside my head. So to have the King of Swords is telling me that it will be able to transmit into my mind just what it is, that the messages that need to be told. So that's a kind of interesting card to get, isn't it? Card that represents your overall energy. So some people would see this as being cold, but I don't really see this as being cold. I think it's a more of a cool, calm and collective type of an energy, one where it's going to be able to transmit its messages straight into my mind's eye without any problems. So I like that. And the second question is, what is your area of strength as a deck? What is your area of strength as a deck? Oh, interesting. The Fool. The Fool. What is your area of strength? So it's all about taking risks, I suppose, but I think more of a calculated risk. It's throwing caution to the wind. It's seeing outside the square, which is what I always like to do when I read the tarot. So I suppose seeing outside the square of tarot to look at what's going on around, which is what I do in the backgrounds and things like that when I look actually at a tarot card. So the thing that I'm noticing the most here is actually the mountains that are on the ground, underneath the cliff edge, and the plants that are actually behind the actual Fool itself there. So if you're looking at, of course my phone would die. Gosh, honestly, switch off the. So if you're looking at what's your area as a strength, it's is that right there? Yeah, of strength as a deck is going to be spontaneous, I think. It's going to give me very spontaneous readings, very carefree readings, but also telling it like it is. And I'm also really attracted to the dog too, and I think maybe deceased pets might come through this deck. I haven't actually tried any readings like that for a while, but yeah, and the White Rose, I'm thinking of peace as well. So it looks like lots of things with this particular energy of the deck, but I think it's going to be like more of a spontaneous type of energy. Even though we've got the overall energy as King of Swords, I think it's got, well, actually no, that actually marries in nicely. So some visions and thoughts and things are going to come spontaneously into my mind. Sorry, I can't talk today. I'm actually hungry. It's lunchtime, so this is probably what's not a good idea. And the third one is, how can I best learn from you? So how can that come up straight away? Oh, I like the Two of Swords. That's an interesting card to have, isn't it? How can I best learn from you? Is to take off that blindfold and not have any preconceived ideas about reading with the Rider-Waite deck. That's what I'm looking at for, because I haven't read with a pure Rider-Waite deck like this for many, many years. You know, I mean, you have your kind of copies like the Lightseers and things like that, but this is a true to the images, except being much more beautiful and more expressive faces. So yeah, not to is to keep it in balance. To trust my intuition, because I'm looking at the moon there, but really not to have any preconceived ideas about on how to read this deck, because if I do, then it'll become a very strained type of relationship. So I've got to make sure I take that blindfold off and really look at what this deck is telling me when I'm doing a reading with it. The next one is a card that represents myself in this deck. So a card that represents myself. The Ace of Swords, a card that represents myself. So it looks like I'm going to have great clarity with reading in this particular deck. So when this particular card comes up, it's kind of telling me that I should pay more attention to it because it represents me. But if it's representing me, I'm thinking that it's really, I'm going to have some really clear readings with it, which I have done already, because I've actually, the day that I got it, I did a client reading with it, and it was really, really beautiful. So yeah, that's I think that's great, actually. Represents myself. It's going to be really, and I like the way, you know, the hand is coming out of the clouds. Things are going to come out of the blue, but I'm going to get great readings with this deck that you know, provide great clarity. Gosh, I shouldn't eat when I shouldn't eat. See, I can't stop thinking of food. I shouldn't do a video when I'm hungry. The next one is a card that represents the combining of both our energies. So a card that represents the combining of both our energies. And I really like this question because that's how I read. I read the energies. So a card, yeah, there we go. No, that's it. So a card that represents the combining of both of our energies. A card that represents the combining of both. I don't want to read. Oh, that one there. Oh, that's really interesting. The Eight of Swords. Look at that. So a card that represents the combining of both our energies. So it looks like, I don't actually look at that as being trapped. I look at that as that we're going to have a really strong bond together. We're going to really, and I look at that too, that I'm going to help other people see the way to their enlightenment of getting out of things. I'm not just talking about spiritual enlightenment. I'm talking about, you know, if they're trapped in, say, I don't know, an unhappy marriage or an unhappy job or something like that, that this our energies combined are going to give great enlightenment to them type of readings. So we're going to really provide people to look at things differently and find out a way out of what's troubling them. And as our energies combined, yeah, I really look at that as being a very strong bond, which yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it, to have that for combining of your energies. And the last position is, what does our future working together look like? So what does our future working together, that one popped up right away. Oh, perfect. Two of Cups. How awesome is that? Perfect partnership. So there you go. Questions for your new deck by Spiritual Medium Shannon over on Instagram. I shall put the spread positions down in the box. If you like that or try it out, please let me know. I'd love to see it. Please press like and subscribe, and I shall see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.